Hello and welcome back everyone to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You are looking at a Singer 15-90. I went back and checked the serial number and it only gives me a range. This is one of the machines that was made in St. John's in Canada at the St. John's plant. And it says JC on it, and I looked that up. And the way they kept records at that specific plant, what that means is I got a range for the JC models, and they were made from 1948 to 1954. So it could have been made in one of those years. They don't give any further information. I'm still interested in learning the MR initials, and I'm not aware that MR, I don't believe they were personally initializing machines, but who knows? It may stand for something else. If any of you know, just please educate me on that. I'd love to know. And I'll keep looking on my own. So, in this wonderful Bentwood carrying case, you guys are looking at the 15-90, Canadian made. And like most Singer 15 classes, it is not similar to the 15-91, meaning it uses a rear-mounted motor with a belt. The belt is in excellent shape. We've got a new bobbin winding tire. Let's see, what else to say? I installed a new needle because I never know if the needle in a machine is good or if it's dull. I can't tell by staring at it, so I just changed them. It's not hard to do. And I decided for this machine, I don't do this very often, but I sometimes have people asking me, can I sew leather? I want to sew leather with a home sewing machine. And the new ones aren't going to pull that off very well. So a lot of people look at the vintage domestic machines. Some of them are better at it than others. Of all the vintage machines, one of the toughest for doing this is the 15 class of Singers. And so I have this piece of medium density, I guess. It's a Levi Strauss patch, but it's real leather. It's not the fabric kind. I guess it was on a fancy version of Levi's. I don't know, but it's real leather. And I have a leather tipped needle, and you can sew leather with different needles, but give your machine all of the advantages it needs. You can get home sewing machine needles with leather tips, and you can ask for them in the fabric store. They fit home sewing machines. It's just that they come in different sizes, and you can get denim needles that are extra strong for heavy fabric. This is a leather needle. That means that the very tip of the needle is designed in such a way to pierce leather, because leather has a very different consistency than fabric does. And so I chose to put an 18 leather tip needle. We're going to go with a big needle. I've got larger or heavier thread than normal because I just wanted to try it out and see, because all sewing machines have a range, and now she is good to go. The only thing that surprised me about this machine was the fact that when I was cleaning out the shuttle area and I took out the hook and the bobbin case, that area was dirtier than you normally find for some reason. And I guess, just needed lint cleaning and old oil, and I got it all out there. She's clean as a whistle. And you know what's funny? These machines were so well made. This thing could form a basic stitch before that. It actually would still sew. But you don't want to do that because these machines were designed to be maintained. And just think of the difference. They really shine when you actually maintain them, and give them the maintenance service they need. So this is a very happy machine here. I've got, of course, the light on the back. And I have that new, metal insert that I was able to find that part. And all of the wicks have been replaced with new wicks and motor lubricant. And so I'm going to do a little test stitch here for you guys. See if I think maybe I should zoom in. Maybe that'd be useful for you all. I've got a little bit of natural light here and a little bit of electric light, so I'm basically working with what remains of the day here. So I've already started a line, and I'm going to come back. And again, just as a word of a helpful hint here, if you're sewing any kind of leather or even heavy fabrics, it's really helpful for a machine to, if you start with the needle down, okay, it just gives the machine kind of a good starting point, right? And if you use leather tip needles, you will notice the difference. If this was a fabric needle, it would go through the leather, but I would have to fight it really hard, and this thing went right through. And this leather it's soft and flexible, but not quite as flexible as, say, wallet leather. It's a little thicker and firmer than that, but that needle goes right through. So we'll go ahead and run a little row of stitches here. And I can even, just give the machine just a little bit of, I can slow it down. Many of you who sew leather may not want a machine just to run, a million miles an hour. This one I can slow down, or get my old thread tails out of the way there. Or you can sew faster. My advice is always, if you're sewing heavy fabrics or leather, you don't want to sew fast. The machine has the power to do it often, but the needles need time to chew on the material that you're asking them to stitch. So you don't ever want to be in a situation where you're sewing so quickly that the needles break because in any machine that applies to, right? That's just a good sort of rule of thumb for sewing anything heavy or dense. Let's come back, we'll make another row. And many of you who sew leather, you like to lock in your own stitches by hand, but you can. This machine is strong enough, it will actually do back tacking or reverse locking in the stitch with the motor. You don't even have to do it by hand if you don't want to. So let's pull this out, and so I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Here's the old Levi's patch. I keep this patch because I don't find them very often, and then I'll just take my seam ripper and remove old stitch testing, and then just start with a new slate here. So I'm over here. You'll notice that the stitches are nice and consistent. The tension's good. I did notice whenever you sew leather, I typically have noticed that I need to increase the tension, raise it on the, let's point it there, raise the tension maybe a number and a half. Sometimes I need to do that when I'm sewing leather or even heavy fabric. But again, you'll have to play it by ear. Anytime you make a change from something, material or the weight, you might want to raise or lower your thread tension as the case requires. So anyway, coming around here, came around, went back, or maybe it was the other way, I don't even remember. Anyway, you can see this is of course the top stitch, and let's go on the back. And I've got some pull these that little thread tail still stuck in there. I don't want that to take away from the picture I'm trying to show here. Okay, and now you see the bottom stitch, and notice it's very well balanced, right? So again, the difference that a leather tipped needle makes, and you might say, well, how many layers of leather can I get under here? Well, it depends on, again, how thick they are, how dense. And you raise the foot as high as you can get it, and that's as much space as you have. But again, it's not just the thickness of what you have, it's the density. The more a piece of leather is like a board, the less wiggling it's willing to do. Typically that means it's more of a challenge for a machine. So here's some denim. I've got the leather tip needle in. It's not ideal. So I'm going to run a row of stitches here on the outside because this is an older row, so we know which is which, right? And I may keep this piece of denim, who knows, and I'll take all the old stitches out. Okay, so we're going to run it. Oh, maybe not reverse. We're going to run this, and I'll see if I need to adjust the tension back. We'll just see. Well, let's start with our needle down. Follow my own advice here that I give you guys, and hold on to here we go. Make sure that belt loop goes under the foot, and it sure did. Oh, let's see. Okay, and I'll just come back and we'll make one more row. I just want to show it off. Now remember, I'm doing this with a leather tip needle. It's working, okay, but ideally you would just swap it out. Pick the size of your choice, and I would use a jeans needle. I wish they didn't call them that because people think you can only use them with denim. Any heavy fabric is what those jeans needles are designed for. I think in other countries they have different names for them, but okay, so we'll come back. Just going to go slow. I'm going over that belt loop. And again, this came off of This was from an old pair of Levi's, this little stitch sample, and this is the heavier denim, the old self-edge. This is not the cheap, thin denim. So again, we're looking at the outer row here, just to help so you guys don't get confused. And notice that the stitches, they look great. They're nice and balanced. They cross over that belt loop. And remember, now you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's about 6 layers of denim. And yet, look at the tension, guys. Notice how beautifully it kept its tension. And then I came back. I just did a U-turn and came back this way. Really nice. Let's look on the other side, and you will see now the bottom thread, I think it's like a beige, it's a little different cream, but you can see that we have the same consistency. That's what you're checking, right? Now you can't see it, but on this side, this right here is where that belt loop was, so it was having to go through a lot, and look, the tension looks great. And I didn't have to adjust it back down for this. Now if I wanted a lighter weight fabric, I would simply check it first. When when you're changing fabrics, just see how the machine behaves. Machines talk to you, and if the tension's not right, the machine is saying, hey, you want to make a little adjustment. And by the time you get to the late 40s, early 50s, Singer is of course putting numbers on their tension dials, which is very nice. Makes it a lot easier. Not sure what else to say about this machine. You guys know how I feel about the Singer 15 class. They are, in my estimation, and many other people's, not just mine, one of the toughest domestic sewing machines ever made, and I mean that in the history of sewing machines. They are just really tough. This was called the farmer's machine, casually, and then the things like the Singer 201 with its top loading bobbin, those were called the dressmaker's machine. Both awesome machines. I love them both. If I wanted artisanal stitches and you're sewing silk, a 201 is an incredible piece of machinery. But if you're going to sew leather and you're going to sew heavy fabrics, I know some of you have done it with the 201s, but honestly, a vertical side-loading bobbin, which the Singer 15 class is really your best bet when you're going to do something like this with a domestic machine. This is about as tough as they get. So, thanks for watching, guys. Obviously, I'm having to keep the video from being less long because I'm losing light here. But this is essentially what I wanted to say. And again, this is the Singer 1590. So what do we have left? We have another turquoise machine, and we have a Singer 201, and that will be it for 2020. So winding down. I want to get these in the hands of folks so they can use them over the winter. And then in the spring, I should hopefully be having more machines to restore. Still have plenty of videos to make and to come, right? So I've got a lot of videos that have been in production, and so I have plenty of videos to be posting for you guys throughout the winter. So the channel's not going anywhere, and I've got lots of new material for you if you are interested. And if you would kindly subscribe to the channel, it doesn't cost anything, and you can even set a reminder there for when I post a new video. I do anticipate, in spite of the sewing machine rescuing and overhauling, even though that is slowing down for the winter, there should be enough videos that I can share with you guys going through almost through April. So we'll be into the warm weather next year, and we'll pick up from there. But again, this is one of the great sewing machines in history. A ton of them were made. You can get parts all over the world for these to this day, which is just amazing for a consumer product that was made, between 48 and 1954. That's a long time ago, guys. Anyway, appreciate you watching. If you are interested in this machine and you are in our local area or driving distance, let us know, and there will be I will have a full list of all of the things that were done to the machine, so when you read and it says fully serviced or overhauled or restored, you know what that means. You're going to have a long list of things that explain why so many hours are required to do this properly, and we invest the hours here because we believe in it. We believe these machines deserve it. And anyway, there'll be photographs of some of the overhaul procedures that you'll see, and that will also I'll include a picture of the waterfall, beautiful bentwood carrying case that it comes in, and it will include even a original key. So, thank you again for watching, folks. Hang in there, stay safe, and we will see you in the next video.